it is completely normal if you have been in a relationship with a narcissist or a psychopath to try to read the signs and figure out how to know if the narcissist is truly finished with you. You may feel obsessed with the idea that by going back and going over every word and every action that took place between you and your narcissist, that somehow you can see into the future. And relationships with a narcissist have a cycle to them, as many of us know, that plays out again and again and again and again. And the narcissist draws you in close and then does an about face and begins to withdraw and verbally abuse you and emotionally abuse you even more. And finally, they discard you for some reason that most of the time seems pretty inexplicable. Most of the time, this is only temporary because they will soon return and to start that cycle all over again. And with all of their comings and goings, it's natural to wonder if this time when they leave, if it's the final time. So I am here to tell you that the one way to kind of know if a narcissist is finished with you, and this is, I get probably one question like this a day. And so the relationship pattern that I describe is known as the idealize, devalue, and discard, the classical narcissistic abuse cycle. And many of us have found ourselves caught in this cycle for years upon years, if not decades. And this is the reason that we are left in limbo, in purgatory. We constantly rework out our definition of what a relationship really is. And they drift in and out and all around us. They're ghost-like. There's this ever-presence. And narcissists keep us tethered to them by something we cannot explain until either they or we cut the cord for good and we find out about narcissistic abuse recovery. So is it for good or not? First, I'll explain why we wonder if the narcissist is finished with us. The narcissist manufactures emotions that serve our own interests, and they slowly teach us to ignore our own needs. And many things keep us bound to a narcissist for longer than they should. First, it can be almost as if our lives are on hold, awaiting this conditioning that we have been subjected to over the years. And make no mistake, they have conditioned us to expect it. And when the narcissist leaves and then returns, it dysregulates our neurotransmitters in our brains. And one such neurotransmitter is dopamine, a chemical responsible for making us feel pleasurable sensations throughout our body. It drives humans to seek rewards, and it motivates them to act and live their lives in productive ways. And the problem is that it can get synced up with the narcissistic abuse cycle, so that the level of dopamine in the brain drops when we are not around or in contact with our narcissist, and we crave them like a drug, because this truly does mirror an addiction pattern. And this can happen until the passage of time breaks the chemical bond or the traumatic bond to them. Second, psychologically, there is a constant tension inside of us due to desiring somebody who causes us such pain and yet periodically comes back to rescue us from it. And the narcissist has returned so many times before that it feels natural to anticipate it again. It's like waiting for the other shoe to drop. And there's also this fear of what comes next when they aren't returning as expected, because we don't know who we are anymore without the narcissist in our lives. And at least if the cycle continues, there is this comfort in the familiarity. Third, the lack of control over what the narcissist is doing or can do may cause us to feel insecure about our own actions. Even if we do find the strength to leave, we could still feel this lack of resolve because they have had so much control over us in the past that we do not trust ourselves to make any right decision at all. And they will never, ever give us closure. And this is the fourth reason that we care so much about the narcissist, if they're finished with us or not, is that they did not give us closure. And the reasons that the narcissist does not give you closure are that the end of the relationship with them was likely horrific in one way or another. And perhaps we were the ones who tried to end it in an attempt to explain why. And of course, the narcissist refused to accept our reasons or even acknowledge that it happened. And they may have even tried to use manipulative techniques to keep us in the relationship, such as threatening to hurt themselves or hurt us. Perhaps we had to cut off all communication without any conversation at all. But if the narcissist was the one to end it, he or she may have cut us off as if we never existed or mattered, and as if the relationship never happened. Or maybe the narcissist humiliated, degraded us even further, and then rubbed a new relationship in our face. But regardless of how it happened, this exit is a destructive question that leaves a black hole in the foundation of our lives. It can be opening, and it's an opening for a narcissist to hoover. And perhaps the narcissist will come back later on down the road with an apology for their bad behavior, or begging and even crying, pleading, and promises to answer our outstanding questions for getting the closure that we never got. And in normal relationships, breakups are usually not, they aren't usually mutual. Sometimes they are, but at least both parties generally have an agreed upon narrative about what happened. And if narcissists don't give us closure, even their absence will cause us pain if we were the one who initiated it. And if they can't be guaranteed to stay away, we can stay on this roller coaster of emotions, waiting and waiting and waiting for them to return, and wondering when they're going to return. And that gives them a significant amount of control over us. So how many times will a narcissist come back? This is another question that I receive from people who were in relationships with narcissists, and they are the same questions that I used to have. My narcissist didn't hoover ever, and does that mean he wasn't a narcissist? And no, it doesn't. I don't know whether your ex-partner will ever hoover you again. Your ex-partner may not even know why. The answer lies apparently in how narcissists view relationships, apparently. And narcissists never really break up with you in the traditional sense. As hard as that is to believe, they apparently return to any relationship if they think that there is supply to gain from it. Usually when you're gaining strength and getting stronger again, when you're closer to being healed, and this seems to be true no matter what has happened in the past. This seems to hold even after years or decades. It's also true no matter how the relationship ended, even if they treated you horrifically and they told you never to contact them again. There is a possibility still that they might return. And from the perspective of a narcissist, it makes sense. So when the narcissist tells you that they are finished with someone else, did the narcissist tell you about exes in their past that they never wanted anything to do with, or that they hated, and then you later found out that they were still in contact? That's what happened in my relationship. And narcissists seem to change the rules on any day based on how they are interacting with people, and only they don't give you all of the rules or the information. And for example, perhaps they really aren't interacting with a particular ex at a particular time. And narcissists, however, in theory, they keep everyone in a web of potential supply sources, or the narcissistic harem. And if they happen to run into or see an ex somewhere that they haven't thought about in a while, they may do some kind of reconnaissance. They're looking to see how easy it is to reach out, and how likely it is that this ex would respond if they did reach out, and the quality of the narcissistic supply that they would get based on the level of effort that they would have to put in. So many factors may play into this decision, but those factors all play a role in whether they will try to hoover someone else or not. And they may try to initiate a contact again with that person, and it seems that they act like no time has passed whatsoever. What they won't tell you about this whole ordeal is that if you get suspicious, they may cut off that contact again, at least temporarily. so that this person may reach out to the narcissist puzzled, trying to find out what happened, and the narcissist will tell you that they don't know why the person is contacting them and that they're leaving out half the story. It is an old and familiar trick. Someday it may be you on the other end of the Hoover calculation they're making. Meanwhile, they tell everyone around them that you are the one that won't leave them alone and they want nothing to do with you. Is this the final discard? In short, they never really let their exes go. Narcissists merely put their partners in a figurative storage locker on an indefinite silent treatment, if you will. They leave you spinning, wondering what happened without a period to the end of that sentence. And while they have moved on to someone new, they will reach out usually to see how receptive you are, to take your emotional temperature, if you will, and they have to keep you in the background in that web that you are a part of now. And because of this, I like to think of the final discard on part of the narcissist as a myth, a hypothetical idea. It's only a theory, as no one can predict the future. This thought has helped me in my recovery because it does give me some of the answers that I need. My name is Sara Ann Brown, and this is Narcissistic Abuse 101.